This is the story of a young lady named Rebecca Woogie. She was a cool cat, and she had some crazy fingers. But she didn't always know it. She grew up in a small house on a little hill, a short drive away from the nearest town. This is where Rebecca's father taught her to play the piano. Rebecca loved to play the piano, and she dreamed of jamming on the keys for big crowds of people. So she began to practice. After she practiced some more. Because she wanted to be the very best, she practiced even more. The small house was filled with Rebecca's music. Her parents loved hearing her play. But sometimes the music drove them nuts. Rebecca practiced scales, chords, and became very good at playing the piano. She quickly improved and began to play sonatas, minuets, and rondos. Rebecca was at the piano day and night. She impressed everyone who heard her play. News of Rebecca's talents traveled far and wide. When people in the city heard how talented she was, they invited her to their annual music competition. So, Rebecca hopped on a train and went into the big city. The city was loud. It was big. Cars, buses, buildings. There were crowds of people walking fast, chatting away. Rebecca even bumped into a few people. Rebecca nervously walked by a group of people laughing really loudly. Then, she came to a big intersection filled with passing taxis and speeding cars. She was about to cross the street when the cars began to honk at her. Someone yelled, "Look out!" The cars stopped to let Rebecca Woogie cross the street. She took a deep breath and continued on her way to the competition. From then on, she was much more careful each time she crossed the road. She finally reached the competition. When she went inside, she heard music that she had never heard before. She heard music that was high, music that was low, music that went up, and music that went down. Rebecca heard music that went up and up and down and down, and around and around and around. These musicians had practiced too. For the first time, Rebecca felt nervous before she played. Even though Rebecca tried her best, she didn't win the competition. Rebecca didn't know what to do. This had been her first competition and her first trip to the city. She sunk her shoulders, put her head down, and let out a big sigh. With nothing left to do, she started to go home. Wait! What's that sound? She heard and felt the beat of the drums, and Rebecca was digging those crazy rhythms. Just then, she heard a big ace playing a string bass. And out of the blue, she heard a bluesy man bebopping on his bluesy bugle. Then from across the street, she saw a crowd that was jiving, a groove that was thumping, a stage that was jumping, and music that was out of this world. After that, Rebecca Woogie went straight home and taught herself to play the amazing music she had heard in the city. She practiced music that was high and music that was low. She practiced music that went up, music that went down, and music that went up and down. She practiced music that was spiky, music that was mushy, music that was noble, and music that grumbled. She practiced music that buzzed, music that was rustic, music that hopped, and music that jumped. And after all that, Rebecca Woogie, that cool cat with the crazy fingers, learned to play some jazz. Do you know what happened next? Rebecca taught herself to play all different kinds of music. She became so superb that soon she was jamming on the keys for huge crowds of people. Did she have favorites? Sure she did. But she loved to play anything and everything for her audiences. And her audiences loved to hear all those different styles. Classical, romantic, swing, big band, Mozart, Bach, Joplin, Shostakovich, and the Duke. And at the end of every concert, Rebecca always played the melody her father first taught her. And she lived happily ever after.